Hello everyone, this is Professor Jeff Wilkerson at Luther College, bringing you our weekly look at what to look for in the night sky, this time for the week of August 9th, 2021. And those of you who've been, the two or three of you who've been watching these videos regularly, know that one of the things I like to do is I like to bring you some things that are a little more subtle, a little more obscure, rather than the things that everybody else is talking about. In part, that's because everybody else is talking about them. You don't need me out there talking about these other things as well. But this is one of those weeks where we can't help ourselves, and we're going to jump in and talk about what everybody else is talking about, maybe in a slightly different way, I don't know. We're going to talk about the Perseid meteor shower this week. We'll peak toward the end of the week, so Wednesday night, Thursday night, into Friday morning. Maybe go ahead and look Friday night into Saturday morning as well. And so we can't help ourselves because this is one of the most reliable meteor showers year to year, where you see lots of good meteors every year. And we have a relatively low moon. Well, we're still ahead of first quarter moon. We haven't made it to the moon being half full yet. And so there's not going to be a lot of moonlight washing these out. So when there's a lot of moonlight, you get scattered off the atmosphere, and the sky is brighter, and the fainter meteors are harder to see, and so you see fewer meteors in a lot of moonlight. That's not the case this year. If you're out in the evening, you'll have some moonlight, and so you might lose a few of the faintest meteors, but it's not a lot of moonlight. So we've talked about this before with other meteor showers. A meteor shower happens the same time every year because our orbit, as we orbit the sun, we hit the material that was left by a comet. So when a comet gets close to the sun, we see the tails of the comet. There's stuff boiling off that comet. Some of that stuff is solid material, some of that stuff is gaseous material, and the solid material sort of curves into a path, falls in behind that comet, and follows the orbit of the comet around. When we intersect with that orbit, we hit that solid material. Dust, grit. It's sand. It's like the stuff that's in the back of my truck after I drive on all the gravel roads we have around here in Iowa. And so you got these little bits of grit and dust, and when we crash into it, those things hit our atmosphere and they burn up in our atmosphere, and we see them as meteors. And so because we're intersecting, our orbit is intersecting another orbit, it happens the same time every year. So we get an annual meteor shower. That's what we have going on with the Perseids. Remember, they're called the Perseids because all of the meteors appear to be coming from the same point in the sky. That's the point where our atmosphere is intersecting the debris cloud from the comet. And so all of the meteors can be traced back to a single point in the sky. They may be going all sorts of different directions. They may not be anywhere near Perseus. That point is in Perseus now. I did a terrible job, but you get the idea that these things intersect back at that point. And that point is in Perseus, so we call these Perseid meteor showers. We may see this meteor way over here, a long ways away from Perseus, but if we trace it back, it would come from this point in Perseus. Now, Perseus rises relatively, for me, here at mid-northern latitudes, parts of Perseus are technically above the horizon all the time, circumpolar, we would say. But Perseus doesn't get high in the sky until later at night right now. But again, given that we can see the meteors far away from where Perseus is, you don't have to be out when Perseus is high in the sky. Perseus would transit at about 7 o'clock in the morning for me. And so Perseus is going to be after midnight high in the sky. We have more sky where we could see more meteors, so after midnight is probably better. But you have this issue of you want to be out when we're intersecting the dense part of the dust cloud, when you're going to see more meteors. At the peak here, if you're out at the peak, you might see more than one meteor per minute if you got good dark skies. So this is a pretty good shower where you can stay outside under the warmth. That's the other thing. It's warm this time of year. It's not like the Geminids in December when it could be freezing cold. You could stay outside under the relative warmth for 20 minutes and have a chance to see anywhere from 10 to 30 good big meteors. That's a pretty good meteor shower, right? You don't have to devote a lot of time to it. You get to see a lot of these things. So it's definitely worth doing. I urge you to go out and check this out. Make it an annual a ritual annually to go out and look at these Perseid meteors. But again, you want to be out when you intersect the main part of this dust cloud. And one of the things, I live my life graphically, so I like to think about things in graphical terms. And if you plot the rate of meteors as a function of time, you can look at forecasts out there of what these will look like. But the Perseids often have a sort of big, broad peak where you're not seeing many. Maybe you're seeing one every 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes out through here. And then when we hit the main part of that dust trail, that the main part of the shower material that we run through, you get a sharp spike, and then it trails back down. It trails down much more quickly on my graph than it does in real life because I hit the edge of the board. That's called good planning, folks. Good planning. Anyway, we'll just let it run out there. There you go. And so you got a pretty sharp peak right here where the rate goes way up, and that's when you want to be observing. If I've seen different predictions out there for this year's meteor shower, but I think most likely that peak for me here in the central part of the United States, that peak, again, I missed the peak. Good grief, I'm having a day of drawing, huh? Those of you who know me know that's how I always draw. But anyway, this peak right there is probably going to occur in the middle of the afternoon of the 12th for me of August, if I remember that correctly, is to say that this peak is right here at about the middle of the afternoon. So I wouldn't be able to see it very well. So the evening of the 12th or the morning of the 12th might be a good time to do this. So the overnight 12th into the 13th, you're on the falling side of this curve. You're on the rising side of this curve on the morning of the 12th, overnight of the 11th into the morning of the 12th. So the pre-dawn hours of the 12th, that's probably your best bet. There won't be any moon right there. You're up here in the peak someplace, headed toward the peak. But if that doesn't work for you, the evening of the 12th before midnight on the 13th is probably good. But this is a reason, there's stuff all the way out here. So it's probably worth looking anytime you have a chance from the 10th through the 14th out in here to say this is going to be a good time with a focus there around the 12th and the 13th to look for this. So again, I've seen different. The peak might shift from what I've suggested for you here, but that's the thing you want to do is to go out and look for these meteors. Great thing about a meteor shower is no real optical devices needed, no binoculars, no anything else. Just get a place where you're comfortable. It doesn't hurt your neck too much to look at as much sky as you can. You have a good horizon and can see most of the sky, and watch for these meteors to show up. So that's what we got for you this week. Sort of 11th, 12th, 13th, be looking for this meteor shower and see what you can find. Perseid meteors, good every year. Good luck with it, everybody. Hope you have good observing and clear skies.